Welcome back. You are watching Good Morning Namibia. If you just joined us, welcome. Now, the Motor Vehicle Accident Fund, or shortened MVA Fund of Namibia, recently hosted the 2022 Case Management Conference at Swakopmund in the Orongo region, and it came to an end yesterday. The conference is held annually on a rotational basis by the 4 MVA sister funds in SADC from Namibia, South Africa, Botswana, and Eswatini. With more on the conference, I'm now joined virtually by the MVA Fund Chief Executive Officer, Rosalia Martins-Hausiku. Good morning, Mrs. Martins-Hausiku, and thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Good morning to our viewers, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome, ma'am. Please, first things first, help us understand what this case management conference is all about.
Thank you. So basically, the case management conference is something that we started as the sister funds, being Botswana, Eswatini, South Africa, and Namibia. As part of our multilateral agreement, a few years ago, we agreed that we should come together and share expertise. We should exchange our employees so that what is being done in one country and what can be replicated in the other country can easily be done so. And as we went along, we realized that there was a need to bring our case managers in the same room so that we learn more about the latest trends and techniques in managing our clients. And that's really then when it started in 2013. Basically, it's an approach on injury management. It's an approach on rehabilitation from the time that the client enters the hospital until the time that they leave, that we focus on getting the client back, reintegrated back to society. So basically it starts with at the point of injury, into hospital, through rehabilitation and life enhancement.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for that explanation. Now, as you've rightfully mentioned, the conference was incepted in 2013. So what type of fruits has it yielded in Namibia, particularly for MVA?
I must say that various fruits. There's a lot that we didn't know in the area. It was, 2013. It was quite new for us. You would know that historically the motor vehicle accident funds, or all in SADC, were basically focused on compensation because all funds were based on the initial legislation in South Africa. So it was really just based on paying out clients. But then case management requires that we are involved in the journey of recovery of the patient. Some of the lessons that we bring, or the wealth that we bring from all these years of conferences, is that we've successfully implemented house modification for our clients. I remember one of them focused on accessibility. How can we ensure that when our clients are out there using public facilities, that they have access to malls, etc. And then the issue of caretaker training also came out of these case manager conferences. And then just generally rehabilitation planning and execution. Every year when we meet, we are refining that with the latest knowledge and expertise that's out there in the industry. So once we come back from these conferences, we meet with the relevant stakeholders locally. For instance, for Namibia, in terms of accessibility, we met the City of Windhoek department that deals with this, just to see how is it in our country when our injured person integrated back into the community. Do they have access to malls? Do they have access to public spaces? It's one thing when it comes to private spaces, but in public spaces, as a government or as a nation, we must make sure that they have similar access as able-bodied people. And it was really encouraging to see that in Namibia, when there's access to public spaces, they do consider persons who are using wheelchairs.
All right. Now, let's talk about the just ended 2-day case management conference that was held at Swakopmund. What were some of the objectives for this conference?
So the objectives were really for us to look at what are the latest techniques out there. It's been COVID hit us as well. And when it comes to management of the injured persons or management of our clients, it has an effect. For instance, one of the services that we render is going to our clients on an annual basis. We do home visits. And with COVID, we're not able to do that. We just had to call and check on the patients and then make sure that the supplies that we normally that they get every month, that they are still getting them, make sure that they are delivered to them. I must say it was really, we faced a few challenges here and there on reaching out to our clients, how we would normally do it pre-COVID. So we're looking at the latest techniques. We also focus on how can we strengthen collaboration between stakeholders, because when you are managing an injured person, when you are case managing an injured person and you want to return them to work, it's not only employees of the fund who look into that. It takes a whole group. It takes their treating doctor, it takes the physio, the occupational therapist, it takes the family, and it takes the patient themselves. So it's a whole group of stakeholders. If you're returning them to work, it includes the employer. So we're just looking at how can we further then strengthen collaboration between stakeholders.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about the theme for this year's conference, which is resilience and reinvention in overcoming hardships, motivational stories and techniques in rehabilitation. Please explain to us how this theme meant, or what this theme meant for the conference this year.
So basically, this theme, when we were preparing for the conference, we wanted something that that would still inspire the case managers, number one, and something that would actually inspire those that we are treating, considering everything that we're going through, focusing on resilience. And can we bring in, we ask ourselves, can we bring in those testimonials, those real life stories that are a success, that have really yielded a good results. And that's what we had in mind. So we had testimonials from people who have been treated successfully. And not the beauty of it is not only the success story, but they were able to share their journey. They were able to share the challenges they faced. They were able to give feedback on in areas that, for instance, the funds can look into when we are rehabilitating them. And it was just, the amazing part of it is how they overcame that. And that is encouraging, because when we look at the case managers, sometimes they are overlooked. Sometimes they are overlooked. We are focusing so much on the client that we really forget the case manager. What we saw coming out of there was, because we had two international speakers, one from the United Kingdom, we had one from Australia, and they were talking about self-care for case managers. You are there, you are running all over the place, you're making sure that your clients that are assigned to you are well taken care of. But then who fills up your cup? And when your cup is empty, it touches on the issue of mental health. When you are not well mentally, again, it brings COVID in. Who is looking after you? So the conversation was how you can take care of yourself, but also what are some of the aspects that as an employer, as the MVA funds, we can put in place to ensure that those that we have entrusted with looking after our clients are also taking care themselves. We also had a speaker locally who basically spoke mostly on Chapter 3 of the Labour Act, that indeed, as much as the MVA Fund is working towards returning people to work, the Labour Act actually places a duty on the employer to ensure that after successful rehabilitation, employees get to return back to work.
Thank you very much. We've now come to the end of our interview, but I'd love to give you the opportunity to please share with us your final thoughts, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I wanted to thank the interest that the media has taken in this whole conference, because there's a lot in the injury management space. There's a lot in rehabilitation that's not out there. And the interest looking at social media and various platforms that has taken in is really quite commendable. The MVA fund's work is known historically as that of compensation. It goes further than that. It starts with accident prevention, and when that accident or crash happens, that's when case management kicks in. When we start treating patients, we ensure that they are rehabilitated and reintegrated back to society. But then there's a role that road users can play, and that's specifically in the area of crash prevention or road safety. So I just wanted to appeal to the public to remain conscious of what's happening on our roads. It's not something that we probably report on daily, but if we look at our crash statistics, there's still a lot of people who are picking up injuries in crashes. There's still a lot of lives that are being lost in motor vehicle crashes. And there's something that we can do. We can play our part. I just shared recently that a lot of these crashes are happening at night or at sunset. They are happening over weekends. There's an indication of various factors. There's an indication of alcohol use. There's an indication of that we are not planning our trips so well. We are driving at night, a time when visibility is compromised. So we should think about all of that. When you're planning to go on holiday, when you're planning to embark on the roads, please do plan your trips, because that is actually a contributory factor to crashes. And then when that crash occurs, the number to call is 9682. That's our emergency number. If you know that number, if you save it in your phone, you might just save a life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Martins-Hausiku. There truly is a lot that still remains unknown about case management, and we appreciate you for using this platform to share information regarding that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for availing this platform for us.
All right. Well, that was the CEO of MVA Fund, Rosalia Martins-Hausiku, talking to us about the recently ended case management conference, which was held at Swakopmund in the Erongo region. Lot will be back shortly to bring us the news at 7.